Tonight on a very special episode of Episodes. I'm Jango and he's Razor.
That is true. I'm Razor and he's Jango.
And it always is, but just so you know, this is what's going on. That's not Black Widow.
No, as a matter of fact, it turned out to not be Black Widow.
At all.
Natasha, still dead.
Very much. Well...
The kind of dead that gets a movie after
yeah,
they're dead.
that's the thing. And there's been jokes, like that's Marvel's thing, like, oh, you killed Loki, here you go, here's a show. You killed Black Widow, here's a movie.
Well, the movie is set before Infinity War. They figured it out.
Yeah.
They got it covered.
It's not outside of time. Loki here had a much more high concept way to make it happen. But
speaking of dying and still being in a thing.
Yeah. It turns out that's not dying.
No, as I predicted, thankfully, the pruning sticks do in fact send you to just like a prison timeline, and they do that for everybody, not just Loki's.
They do, but it's not. Well, is it a different timeline, or is it the end of the sacred timeline?
So they call it the Void. And they say it's the end of all time where everything, like, nothing matters anymore because there's nothing to affect and everything's going to die anyway.
Right.
And, yeah, like, the destroyed New York is not because it's like a timeline where Loki won at the end of Avengers and that's the aftermath or something. It's just that's a New York that was pruned. Everything that's deleted from non-sacred timelines is sent there, so there's all kinds of junk from all kinds of locations.
Right. I mean, I said it some other time, but it's like, it's hella Bloodborne DLC, it's hella Dark Souls 3 DLC, like all this fucking, it's just the whole fucking timeline of everything you've ever done dropped into one weird space and looks shitty and junky on top of each other. Are those infinity symbols or hourglasses or Black Widow references?
I'm going to say they are hourglasses that double as infinity symbols because you can do that with graphic design. You can have a thing be two things.
But not three? You don't think it's for Black Widow?
No, why would it be Black Widow?
I don't know, man. We have questions.
I don't think the TVA has any reason to reference the Black Widow. I think it's simply hourglasses.
Okay.
Because time.
Because time. Speaking of which, this is not New York.
No, this is a bunch of New York-shaped junk. This is the remnants of a New York that was dumped here.
But it's also the remnants of a lot of things.
That New York was pruned.
Uh-huh. And clearly, there has to be a significance here. Well, we meet this guy.
Alioth does, in fact, exist in the comics. And in terms of differences from the source material, there's really not much to say. He's pretty accurate. I believe in the comics, the creature's full name is Alioth the Usurper, and the story it's most known for had it break free of the timeline and try to conquer Kang's city, Chronopolis, which exists beyond the end of the timeline.
Oh.
Yes, so Kang the Conqueror connections.
Yes. I feel like we should have been doing this since the beginning, where I paused the stream.
Okay.
I mean, why not, right? It's like a pop-up video, but it's for Marvel. But these are things that you don't get in every other thing. It's not a breakdown video. Oh. There's not going to be any arrows. I swear.
Right. Well, I guess the main difference then between the comics and the show is that Alioth must have had some kind of intelligence if it wanted to conquer stuff, whereas it's just a guard dog in the show.
Yeah, like, I mean...
But even in terms of what it looked like a glowing red facial features inside a bluey, purpley smoke, that's accurate.
Okay.
And, yeah. It pretty much lives at the end of time.
It has some sort of intelligence
and
because she can enchant it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like, yeah, it's a dog. They say it's a dog or a shark or both. A dog shark.
So all of a sudden they're in a different room.
Yeah, that is something I thought about too. We're now in the courtroom here, and she
I
just
guess.
realized it.
Well, I feel like off screen Sylvie dragged Ravonna here and then tossed her on the ground and put her at
I mean, one has to
spear point.
assume
Put her at spear point again.
she's not
But
wet anymore.
it is kind of a jarring location change because we didn't see that.
It's odd.
Like, they go straight from the last time on where they're in the Timekeeper's room to the same posing, but now they're in a different room. It's just odd.
It is odd. I agree. And fucking Sylvie was wet.
Sylvie was wet. Sylvie appears to be dry now, so some time has passed.
Yeah. Okay. I asked my wife this question, and I'm going to ask it to you.
Okay.
If you're Sylvie in this situation, and you're trying to interrogate this bitch, and you're not going to kill her
right
immediately,
okay,
would you break all of her limbs? I feel like if you want to keep her alive for the benefit of information, do so responsibly.
So I think that methodically snapping 4 arms and legs of a person who has otherwise appeared to surrender is a bit more sadistic than I could manage.
Well,
I feel like I feel like sometimes when you try to hurt another person, if you're not a bad person, the conscience barrier that's stopping you from doing stuff to other people is almost physical. Like,
are you saying I don't have a conscience? Maybe I don't have a conscience.
Well, it's always easy to like say you'll hurt someone.
Is it?
But
because I can't get you to say it. I couldn't get my wife to say it either. I could say it.
Okay, well, I think saying you'll do it and actually doing it feels different.
Sure, but we know this bitch is super bitch. She lies a lot.
I get it.
A lot. They killed fucking C20.
Okay, well, there's another thing to consider is that the more pain someone is, the less clear they can focus and answer your fucking questions. There's a reason most intelligence experts say that torture doesn't really work as an interrogation technique.
Indeed, which is why it would not be an interrogation technique.
For example, if a person doesn't have the information you're looking for and you keep hurting them, they will lie and just say, "I'll tell you whatever you want to hear."
Of course, yes. Listen, I agree. I'm not breaking her limbs because I want to fucking her to.
Right?
Suffer.
No, you want to cut off any attempt to betray you.
Yes, because she just fucking did that a minute ago. You punched her. Right. She punched her in the face. And look where that got you. Loki got pruned. So maybe do something else a little more permanent.
I get it.
Stupid bitch. Okay, well, let me look. That's me. She's standing up. She's walking around. She's doing gestures. She's orating. And, you know, I don't know. Okay, but it's fine. We can continue now. This is where my brain goes.
Now these fucking birds don't have heads. They have necks that end in a floating ball.
Yeah, this is like weird abstract art that has come to life.
I'm heartbroken to report I didn't find all that straight.
Well, he hasn't gotten the whole story yet. I have questions about that knife or sword
The,
or
the
whatever you want to
gold the
call
gold sword.
it. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's special. Maybe it's just gold because that makes it fancier. Like
It could be, but it seems special.
there's something about Kid Loki that makes him like the fanciest Loki.
There is. Well, he does have a
Um,
backpack.
like these other Lokis refer to him as the king of this land.
They do. He seems to be the only Loki, maybe ever, that has become a successful ruler.
I don't know how successful he's been, but
Well, I mean, successful enough for other Lokis to be like, okay, this is your kingdom, this is your ruler thing.
I guess. I mean, they must have a reason for respecting him.
I mean, he did kill Thor, as we'll find out in a minute.
Right, right.
I thought at first that thing in his backpack might have been Mjolnir.
Although I have to imagine, like, killing Kid Loki probably killed a Kid Thor, which would make it a lot easier.
That was something that I was talking to the wife about because, like, in the comics we do see a Kid Loki, but it was after Ragnarok, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Loki
he was reincarnated.
So Loki dies during the siege of Asgard, where Norman and the Dark Avengers attack the Asgard that's floating in Oklahoma. Loki dies in that, and he had cut a deal with Hela, I think, for something in exchange. His soul would not go to hell when he died, so instead, his soul inhabited a new body. He was reborn as a child. And that's
He was like a
so,
hero, though, sorta.
yeah, he was. Well, he was trying, like, he was looking back on the life he led before he died, and he was like, well, that got me killed, so maybe I'll try to not be the bad guy this time. And it didn't work out in the end because he eventually I think he was killed off and replaced by another Loki.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that might be Mjolnir in his backpack at one point, but it's not. But it could be. But that would have been funny if he killed Thor and he got Mjolnir into a backpack and just carried the backpack. That could be interesting. But it turns out it's just a toaster.
I suppose that doesn't count as lifting Mjolnir.
No. And whosoever holds this hammer, he's not holding the hammer.
No.
So, you know.
And we have, like, the Mjolnir's weight is variable. Like, there's a scene in 2 where he hangs it on a coat rack.
Yeah. Mjolnir's weight is indeed that. Listen, dude, it's Odin magic, okay?
Right.
That bitch can do anything. He created Valhalla.
We never see Valhalla in the.
I know we don't.
In the movies universe, it's.
But
kind of fuzzy.
It's there.
The Valkyries were apparently just a group of warriors. They didn't necessarily escort the dead to an afterlife crafted by Odin.
I think we've talked about that. Like, yeah, that's the. Was it? I thought it was you and me, but I don't remember fucking when. Who knows? Talked about maybe there were like different ranks of Valkyrie, different like whatevers.
Well, I think you were positing the possibility that the Valkyries Hela killed could come back as Valhallan Valkyries.
Oh,
like when they die, they go.
Okay. I don't remember that being my theory, but it could have been. It could have absolutely been. That sounds plausible. I don't remember.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. But I mean, yeah, like the only fact there is like we don't know that those were all of the Valkyrie. This is the sum of the Valkyrie.
Well, so the thing about Norse mythology and Valhalla is that the reason Valhalla existed was for the souls of dead warriors to keep their skills sharp until Ragnarok, because when Ragnarok came, Odin would summon them all to fight. And MCU Ragnarok has come. So it might be a little late to now visit the idea of Valhalla.
Well, I mean, this happens in the comics too, though.
Well, that's true. There is in the comics, Ragnarok is treated as a cycle. They all reincarnate every time Asgard dies.
And Odin is both inside and outside of Valhalla in the comics, which because he's fucking Odin, like he's a thing. The MCU has never really painted a great picture of how crazy buff Odin is. But
to be fair, the MCU did start positing them all as, well, we're not gods, but the people of Earth called us gods, and then all of a sudden, midstream, they pivoted to, no, we're gods.
Yeah. At some point, they grew a sack and was like, you know what? Listen, we don't have to be fucking grounded and shitty and whatever. Like, fucking gods, dude. We can be morphin' time and shit. You know? And then, luckily, we saw fucking Odin evaporate into energy and shit. And it's like, look, that's not a thing that ungods do.
Ungods.
Ungods.
I think the term you're looking for is mortals.
Mortals? I suppose. Yes. You know, potato, potato. Anyway, that's a toaster in his backpack.
Fair enough.
I don't know what he's doing with it.
Yes, you can see it here. It is a toaster. Maybe it's just salvage. Like, he wants to make toast, and he found it in the rubble.
It could be. You're probably right. This is a junkyard planet. I really hope that that's the exact same shot of the alligator every time they cut back to it. That would be really great.
I have to say, old Loki is the most on the ball of the Lokis.
As he should be.
And they do get into why that is, but he's basically in the same situation as our Loki, where he gave up villainy and he had a lot of time to reflect on his own character flaws.
Yes. Well, almost. Kind of.
I mean, he had long enough to get old.
Yeah, he definitely did. Okay, well, I guess it depends on which Loki is our Loki. This guy.
Yes, the Loki who is the main character of the show.
Okay, yeah, not Loki A or whatever.
No, not the Loki who died in Endgame or Infinity War.
Right.
Infinity War. This Loki is from Endgame.
Yes. But yeah, he probably killed fellow kid Thor.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, isn't nothing.
So we just saw Yellow Jacket's helmet on the... And there's the Thanos
There's the
copter.
Thanos copter right there. Not even subtle.
The Void is like just Easter eggs, the environment.
It is. There's that fucking... Man, there's all kinds of fun shit in here.
But yes, the giant Yellow Jacket helmet is interesting.
I didn't actually see that. I want to go back and...
Okay, yeah. It's a little bit further back.
Further back.
A few more frames back. It's at the beginning of the wide shot. Right there.
Oh.
Yes, that is Yellow Jacket's helmet.
It is.
So when he shrunk to death ? At the end of Ant-Man 1. ? As we know, the quantum realm is a means of time travel, so whatever remained of him clearly got dumped in the void.
And expanded?
Yes, that is gigantic. That's
yes. You think his head is still in there?
I hope not.
That would be kind of cool. Gross.
Well, maybe at this point it would be a skull, wouldn't it? Because it's an old rusted helmet.
You're right. Yeah.
And to be fair, like, we see everything that gets dumped here. One of the reasons the TVA is okay with dumping all of their shit in one location and not expecting it to come back and bite them is because Alioth eats everything that's dumped here. And when Alioth, we see when Alioth attacks inanimate objects, metallic ones like rust, like it advance ages them. It like...
Oh, I didn't notice that, does it?
Yeah, it makes time go fast on them to kill them. So like this super rusty Yellow Jacket helmet, I'm presuming Alioth got it.
Okay.
And this is the rusted remains.
That does make sense. Okay. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, you'll see it when the scene with the bus that's coming up in a bit. But yes, the Thanos copter, I don't have to tell the internet what the Thanos copter is. Everybody's fucking heard of the Thanos copter, but
hopefully.
I do want to point out that they got like it's not just a helicopter that says Thanos on it. It's an accurate depiction of that helicopter. Like it's the proper color yellow and everything.
I feel bad that I didn't grab a pic to put on the actual stream thing here. I could do it in real time. I just didn't have one. But you know what it is. You know the Thanos cop.
Everybody knows the fucking Thanos cop.
I wonder if
I've been told that there are a bunch of buildings, like things that aren't Marvel references, are references to real world mysterious disappearances, like ships that went missing in the Bermuda Triangle and stuff like that. I think
DB Cooper.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
That kind of thing. Okay.
So maybe this missile is a reference to that somehow. I don't know what event exactly.
Maybe it is. It's definitely Mephisto, though.
It's absolutely Mephisto.
It's absolutely Mephisto.
No, you know what? That missile is the missile Magneto stole from the army base in his very first appearance.
Ooh.
Remember the first X-Men story with Magneto in it? The Brotherhood is trying to steal a nuke.
I mean, who doesn't remember? Of course I remember. That's a Mjolnir right there.
That is a Mjolnir. There's also a lot of like cafeteria lunch trays.
And then there's this guy.
Yeah, there's Frog Thor is trapped in a jar.
It is a Frog Thor. I've seen a lot of people get confused.
It is so I believe the original Frog Thor was Thor turned into a frog.
Yes.
But there's also a Frog Thor that is a frog picked up a broken shard of Mjolnir and became a Thor, the way Beta Ray Bill becomes a Thor.
Oh. Well.
So there's two frogs, if you will.
Okay. I feel really stupid because I didn't catch that he's in a jar.
Yes, he is. That's what he's jumping up against. He's bouncing off.
But he would have had to been down here for a long time, which again.
Well, as we know, Thor does not need to breathe.
No,
he survived in space.
Yes.
In Infinity War,
and they live for thousands of years.
It probably doesn't need to eat either. Then.
So he's fine. He's pissed because the hammer's right over there.
Also, who knows? Maybe you stop aging when you're trapped at the end of time. Maybe time is funny here, like it is at the TVA.
They could be. They haven't said that, but it could.
They haven't said that, but it's a possibility.
This does again feel like a Sakaar type situation, just because of all the junk that's being dumped here.
Right. It's
I don't know.
Anywhere else, Jeff Goldblum would be thousands of years old, but here he just makes a face at you.
Yeah, he makes a face. He also has sticks that kill people.
Yes, the melting stick.
Yeah. It's, you know what?
Melt stick.
There might be an Elder of the Universe behind this.
But the TVA sticks don't melt you. They
don't melt you. But it's like the same, like, okay, but we need a different function, but it's the same interface. It's the same, like, we like doing it like this.
Right, you just poke people with a stick. It's an easy way to get people to poke them with a stick.
It is. And the TVA also has the stick that you whack people with it, and it slows them down to 1/16 speed, which I'm really sad that we've not seen again.
That's true. They only used it the once.
That's kind of fucked up. That was pretty rad. I think that was Chris Hemsworth's voice.
Really?
It sounds to me like it was Chris Hemsworth's voice. But it was just a scream, like, "Argh!" So it could have been taken from anything.
Well, you know what? Hemsworth is an actor who they can get to do voice stuff because he's playing Thor in What If.
Indeed, he is. So it would not be that weird or surprising, really.
I like that their hideout is a bowling alley.
Was it a bowling alley?
Yes, it's definitely. You can see in some shots there's like bowling pins and shoes everywhere.
But it's like so it's a bowling alley and a missile bunker.
I guess.
You know. Okay. Look.
I mean, look. I don't know how they build stuff at the end of time. Maybe when a bowling alley got pruned, it arrived inside a missile silo.
You're right. Yeah. It doesn't have to make sense. It just shit lands here.
Yeah. Fallout shelter.
Let's talk about Miss Minutes for a minute.
Okay.
Because she seems a little more sentient than usual.
I mean, I've presumed from the beginning that she is a Jarvis-esque AI.
She seems a little more than Jarvis, though. Just a little bit.
Jarvis did generally have to obey instructions and do what Tony said up until the point where he became the Vision.
Like here, this is her idea. This is her plan to stall with his lie. Right?
Well, to be fair, she is an AI from the whenever or wherever the TVA is. The nebulous outside of time space future.
Yes.
More advanced than Tony Stark could be.
Yes. I'm just saying she's an asshole too.
She has there's a sinister air.
It is. And I mean it should be there already because like she's not subtly propaganda. Like the whole propaganda imagery was there for a reason, including this minutes. Usually that is sinister. No, there's nothing wrong with this. I'm talking in a southern voice.
Never trust anything that's drawn in the like Steamboat Willie art style. I was like it's interesting because obviously we've talked about how everything in the TVA has that 50s, 60s Kennedy era office building look.
Yep.
So does the bowling alley.
So
I don't know. Like I don't think the bowling alley is somehow connected to the TVA. I just think that the show's set designers decided they liked to keep doing the aesthetic.
What is with that fucking stake on the end of those things? I find that fascinating.
We talked about that last time. It's that pruning stick came from the Timekeeper's guards.
It did.
So it's like a special. It's the best pruning stick.
The best pruning stick.
I don't know. It's the honor guard of pruning sticks.
It for the honor guard. Okay, here's a question. She is still upholding the lie here to the TVA.
Presumably. Yeah.
Oh, that she killed herself, and then she walks outside, and she keeps business going as usual. The other guys out there, whatnot, keep going as usual. But she claims to be surprised that the fucking timekeepers were bots.
Well, that's the interesting thing. I'm still trying to figure out what she actually knows or doesn't know, because she didn't react at all.
She didn't.
Last episode, like the fact that when she regained consciousness, the timekeepers being a beheaded robot did not give her pause. She went straight into attacking Loki,
which is not something that makes any kind of sense.
And in this, she repeatedly states that no, she wants to know what the real deal behind the timekeepers is too.
She does, but like she
also says she wants to know so that she can protect them. Yeah. And she demonstrates that she still believes in the TVA's thing.
But we don't know why. We don't know her actual motivation though.
Indeed.
Her real motivation. It better be good. God damn it. It better be good.
I'm inclined to believe that she has heard before from other variants the truth that they are all variants, and she's had more time to come to accept it than anyone else. That she just simply still believes in the TVA's supposed mission to keep the timeline clean.
Right. She would have to have another reason to believe that, though.
And I'm inclined to think that if she meets whoever really created it all, her response will be to revere them. Like she's impressed, and whatever it is they're doing, she's like, "Yeah, I'm in. I was already in, so I'm still in."
But
I think she's like, let's call it lawful neutral alignment. She believes that all of this gives it a structure, and that structure is valuable and necessary for some reason. Like it's just ideologically she is a law and order, neat and tidy kind of person. And so policing the timeline just on the concept level naturally appeals to her.
But policing it in a way that's like, to me, clearly the sacred timeline is arranged and designed in a specific way to create for a specific outcome.
Well, yes,
of everything.
it's to the whatever the sacred timeline is. It's the timeline that most benefits the guy who created all this stuff.
Right. But presumably she doesn't know what that benefit is specifically.
Right. Maybe, but I'm inclined to think that because she already likes the idea of doing the job anyway, when she finds out what the true purpose is, she'll be all like, yeah, okay, that doesn't change much for me. I'm still in.
She could also want to kill them and take over completely.
Possibly.
And, like, just secure her position. I mean, she's already the acting boss at the TBA.
I mean, we're talking about what we think will happen to Ravonna at the end of episode 6.
Yes, we are.
At this point. So my theory, like, there are a couple ways it could go. It could be that she meets the true timekeeper and she is reverent towards them. Or it could be, like, I think whatever happens, she will remain a villain. I don't think she's going to side with Loki, Sylvie, or Mobius at any point.
I don't think that literarily speaking, she can. I think she's done too much bad stuff to, like, be a redemption.
Yeah, I think her role, like, from our side of the fourth wall, if I was the writers, she exists as an obstacle. She is that's what she's there to do.
Yes.
She is opposition to the heroes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, either she meets the real timekeeper and she sides with him, or she doesn't get there until after Loki and Sylvie have killed the real timekeeper, and she goes, well, unoccupied throne, and sits in it, you know?
Right.
Something like that, either way.
Which is, like, that was Loki's original plan.
Right.
As per usual.
Right, but I think...
Go ahead.
I think Ravonna needs that sense of purpose and structure, and so if there's no one policing time, she will want to take charge of the policing of time.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. She's from Order Realm, man. You
and all of that is based solely on the show's Ravonna. Like, if I was going to dive into source material, I'd obviously keep bringing up the fact that she's Kang's girlfriend, and it's probably Kang.
I don't know about Kang.
But I want to leave it open in case it's not Kang.
Yeah, you should. That's a good call.
I mean, there's always so another strong possibility for the true timekeeper is it'll be another Loki, and that Loki will be defeated, and there will be no one left, and maybe then Kang will fill the vacuum in a future thing.
Yes,
that's a possibility,
and it doesn't mean that Kang is, like, completely uninvolved with all of this. Like,
but I am compelled to point out a few things.
Okay.
Obviously, Ravonna comes from Kang stories.
Mm-hmm.
Alioth, as I said, comes from a Kang story.
He does.
In the destroyed New York here in the Void, if you look at Stark Tower, it doesn't say Stark on it. It says Qeng, which kind of sounds like Kang, and is in fact in the comics. Kang at one point ran a company called Qeng, Quang Industries.
Quang, okay.
Yeah, that's a deep cut.
Yeah,
but that's a thing that has happened. So again, there's a lot of stuff in this show that are references to Kang comic books.
It's true, but I mean, if that was more than a reference, beyond, like, the Thanos copter, like, if, like, I don't know why Kang shit would be pruned.
I just think it's telling that it's repeatedly referencing the same guy.
No, you're right. No, yes, there are lots of direct references to Kang. Absolutely. I feel like that he is, like I said, not uninvolved, but but he's not the guy who's going to be the resolution for our Lokis and the resolution for their story and whatnot. Here.
Well, I think emotionally, the story of our Lokis is resolved in each other. Like, that's what it was about. I don't think the villain needs to relate to them, because the story was about them being their own worst enemy and overcoming that.
Well,
and they've already, at this point, by the end of this episode, I feel they've done so. They've resolved their personal arc, and episode 6 is solely about the greater Marvel universe.
I don't think so. There's a line. There's a few lines in this episode specifically, like Kid Loki says, every time we try to change ourselves for the better, somebody keeps stepping in to stop us. Somebody wants us to be only there to fail, or only there to bring chaos or death and destruction.
That's true, but I feel
like there is something that's a little more Loki focused that's a problem here for Lokis.
The thing is, if the TVA is deciding everybody's destiny, that's just Loki taking it personally, when really it's happening to everyone.
It is true. But Loki does seem special, considering that, like, he's the only thing that's alive at the end of this.
Well, that is the special thing about Loki, demonstrated more by this episode than anywhere else, is that he's a survivor, and that's what they keep saying.
Yeah, and the thing with the kid,
and I think that's why
interesting too.
Of any character, like in the MCU. When characters die, they die. Loki's the only one who keeps coming back.
He does. It's a thing.
Loki has died 3 or 4 times and keeps coming back. That's not a problem the rest of the MCU has. There's not like a death issue where characters won't stay dead. It's a Loki issue where he won't stay dead.
I do wonder if that thing that I was talking about in the last episode or whatever is true, where Sylvie's Nexus event was just a preemptive stopping of a Loki, rather than she did something to bring the TVA to her.
I have to imagine we'll find out what her Nexus event was finally in episode 6, because that's kind of you're running out of screen time to show it, aren't you?
Yeah. That's
last episode.
That's a juicy plot thread. Like, there's some good shit there that might have some consequences, again, like tying Loki more directly to all of this shit. A little bit, at least. I still don't trust fucking Mobius either. I'm just saying. Why is that guy a fucking... why is he a fan? You know? He's...
You know what? I think Mobius will turn out to also be a Loki. Now that we know they're all variants...
Yeah.
Anybody could be a Loki.
At the end of this episode, spoilers, but you fucking have already seen this, you better, one of these things is not like the other. But maybe it is.
It has to be pointed out, of all the Loki variants here in the Void, there's only one other than our main character Loki, who's also played by Tom Hiddleston. Like, it's apparently extremely common for Lokis to not look like each other.
It is
across timelines.
It definitely is. Just from a casting choice, I'm pretty happy with that. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a little weird. Sure,
it is weird,
but you also get fun, like, other actor opportunities. Like
we find out that Old Man Loki is a Hiddleston.
He is,
but old.
He is.
Like, that's why he doesn't look like Hiddleston. Is just because he's old. He was originally the Loki from Infinity War, but his Nexus event was that he tricked Thanos and didn't actually get his neck snapped.
We should get to that story. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Classic Loki, as he's called in this
Yes,
episode.
classic Loki.
He's kind of a treat. Yeah, it seems pretty doubtful. I like Kid Loki with his juice box.
I like that classic Loki was feeding wine to alligator Loki.
He was. I like that. Classic Loki's one of the nicer ones to the alligator, but so is Kid Loki. He carries him around a bunch. Story time.
See, that's what I like about classic Loki, is that he's upfront like, look, we'd suck less if we learned more magic and didn't use the fucking daggers all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. He's had the time to figure that out, man. What is he pointing at? That bugs me so much. What is he pointing at?
He's pointing at an imaginary Thanos off in the distance.
Okay. I mean, I want to look. Where's he pointing?
It is a sad story.
It is a sad
It's
story.
I just miss Thor.
Yeah. It happens. And you have to, like, keep in mind, like, this dude, he was the same age as our Loki was when he was killed by Thanos.
Right,
Like,
right.
that's events. And he just fucking
And
drifted around
he's
for
old.
thousands of years.
Yeah, he's old now. Given how long Asgardians live, that's a long fucking
Yeah.
time.
Thousands and thousands of years, fucking this dude has just been chilling by himself. So yeah, I mean, you know what? Eventually, even Loki might get lonely. Even though I think that Loki is, like, at heart, usually a pretty social, extrovert type person, sort of. Like, he kind of needs that feedback a lot.
Yeah.
But, like, I like thinking about a Ragnarok type situation where Loki got to that point, and instead of what our Loki did, which was a more of a self-sacrificial move, this one was just like couldn't do it in the face of it, and had like I mean, it was kind of a cowardice move a little bit, but like you understand, fucking
Right.
Thanos,
Well, I mean,
big
everybody.
dude. It's fucking Thanos.
Well, when the movie came out, literally everybody was like, "Why didn't he just use an illusion of himself? Why did he go at him for real?"
I mean, you know, it's the thing.
There were of course plenty of people convinced that he did an illusion and that he wasn't dead, because Loki does that every fucking movie. But no, they were pretty insistent with Thanos saying the line, "This time he's not coming back," or whatever it was. This time he's dead for real. That was the writers to the audience.
It was. But I mean, I think that I've talked about it before. In my opinion, they said that, and Thanos said that, so you know, oh, Loki did sacrifice himself for sure. It wasn't
Right.
because we're not bringing him back or this death's gonna stick. It was because Loki really did this.
Right.
He wasn't a coward that like ran away and left everybody high and dry like this other Loki did. Which is different. And that's an important thing here. He said, this Loki said, he snaps our neck when we try to stab him.
Well, yeah. So
He saw the video.
Thanos snapped the neck of the illusion in classic Loki's
right. Yeah,
case,
yeah.
and everything else happened the same.
Yeah,
The Nexus event didn't occur until he came out of hiding,
right.
which goes to show that if Loki was good enough at illusions, he didn't need to sacrifice himself. It actually didn't accomplish anything.
It's still my theory that that was a manipulation of Thanos' 50-50 rule. There's only two gods of Asgard left at that point, and if he definitely kills Loki, then he definitely would not kill Thor.
Sure, but if he's killing
it's just a theory.
an illusion of Loki, then Thor still gets away.
But
that's what happened.
Right.
That's what happened in classic Loki's timeline.
But our Loki's not that good. That Loki was not that good. That wasn't an option.
That's the bummer of the MCU that we have seen, is that we've had a Loki the whole time that's good at daggers and not as good at magic.
Right. Like, the only viable option that he could do to try to like get in that situation and not leave everybody high and dry was doing the thing that
Right.
he did, in my opinion. But still, but that's important for this guy too, because this guy watched those videos. This Loki here, our new Loki, whatever.
He has seen his own history
He
at the
has
TVA.
the.
Yes.
It's much like Vision. Like he has the data, but he doesn't have the memories. He doesn't know why he did the things he did in those scenes. Really, he can kind of guess at it, but he doesn't know Loki's motivations when he sees him try to stab Thanos. He just sees that he did that thing.
Yeah.
Which is is different. It's a thing. Drink another juice box.
I think that's Ecto Cooler in the juice box.
What the hell is Ecto Cooler?
It's the Ghostbusters juice.
Is it? Well,
it's in a green box.
We have an ability. It says high C.
Yes, there's a Slimer on that box. It's Ecto Cooler.
Oh,
it is Ecto Cooler, which fits in with the things that have been lost to time, because Ecto Cooler is a drink that comes and goes. It is not always around. Okay. It's like fucking Crystal Pepsi or
yes.
The discontinued drinks that we've seen at the TVA in past episodes.
Yeah, Josta and whatever the fuck Casey had.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
There's also, I noticed behind classic Loki here in the bowling alley is an arcade machine of the game Polybius, which is not a real video game. It's an urban legend. Of a game created by the government to mind control people, similar to the MK Ultra project. So look up Polybius on the. You know what? Every video game nerd did a whole episode about Polybius. People know about Polybius now.
Yeah, you can check that out. Man, dude, his costume. Classic Loki. I said it at some point, but in the whatever venting about on the Discord, I really love that his costume is ridiculous over top. It's never once played as a joke though. Nobody, no one laughs.
Nobody makes fun of it. He's just, that's how he dresses, and it's perfectly normal.
Like no one acknowledges there's anything weird about it. Yeah. It's totally fine. It's not weird. It's not a joke. This is just
especially because classic Loki gets what I think is the best moment of this episode, and we'll get to it when we get to it.
Yeah, he does. And it's so fun because it's never played as a joke. It's never like whatever. Like by the time we get to that point, I don't even really notice it as being weird. Like it's just what he's fucking wearing. It's not any less serious than anything else anyone's wearing.
Right.
Like you don't even fucking see the shit. It's sick. Do you think the direction was like, okay, you're going to give a Captain America type speech? Because he's made fun of that a couple times.
It's like the Loki version of a Captain America speech sounds a lot more improvised on the spot.
It does.
There's a little bit of like a stutter as he's coming up with the words like, "You said it's a shark. Well, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to kill the shark."
Yeah. It's oddly like it's bigger. He's trying to on purpose to be bigger with it. The big hand gestures. He goes all in on the hand gestures. It's like, look, man. Not everybody can be Cap.
And then there's these guys. all of these Lokis, and only one of them is another Hiddleston.
Are they all Lokis? Is that the situation?
Well, I'm pretty sure they're all Lokis because most of them are wearing two big horns.
That is true. But they could be like Joker thugs who wear like bullshit on their faces and whatnot.
I'm inclined to think the joke is that they're all Lokis because they all turn on each other over who gets to be in charge.
Oh, yeah. I think a lot of people were surprised that that Loki was not our Loki.
No, in the trailer it appears to be because it's Hiddleston.
Yeah. But no, there's going to be
And because the fucking vote for Loki outfit, the President Loki suit is a thing he tried to do in the comics recently. So here's where I was saying you can see when Alioth hits stuff, it rusts.
You're right, it does. I had no idea what the fuck was going on when I watched it the first time. What just happened?
Yeah, that was weird.
It was weird. Like, I understand now. She like touched it and like checked out its head for a second.
Yeah, she saw a little bit of its memories with her enchantment powers, like she does to people.
I did not know that was what was going on.
And this was a pleasant surprise.
It was.
The driver of the getaway car. Mobius is alive.
Mobius is alive.
I mean, not that much of a surprise once we found out that pruning sticks do that to everybody. They send them here.
But then it was a surprise again once you find out everyone here is a Loki. So...
It's not that everyone here is a Loki. It's that of everyone who gets sent here, only Lokis survive the longest.
Well, okay,
everyone else gets eaten by Alioth because Loki's good at getting away.
People that are not, like, about to be eaten or in the process of being eaten by Alioth, everyone else is Lokis. That hammer.
I like how he's threatening his, like he's gonna cut his throat, but it's a hammer.
But it's a hammer, yeah.
See, it's impossible for Loki's beef-witted.
No, yeah, it's a thing. As close as we could tell, the only Loki that's gotten close to being a successful ruler. Yeah, we got the captain.
I love this bit.
The Captain
Hook
screams
shit. Like a girl.
He does. Like that was I didn't know that he could do that. Well done.
It's fucking.
Okay, yeah, that guy shot a green fireball.
This jaunty '60s music. This.
Yeah, he's trying to Scooby-Doo his way out of here.
Glorious purpose.
That's the thing. It's really, really fun how
they really have just driven that phrase.
Like, I don't know if that was ever like a battle cry or anything significant to Loki. Really?
No, he said it one time in Avengers 1.
Yeah, he did. Like that was a Joss.
He said, "I am burdened with glorious purpose."
Like Joss Whedon wrote this one thing, and then boy, they really stretched it into something and created it into something that's interesting and useful. Which is funny. Much like the sun's going down, sun's going. Like, you know, it's fun how the MCU does that shit.
So on the subject of like random crap dumped in the void that for Easter eggs wise, I don't remember exactly what scene it was in, but one of them is what appears to be the head of the Living Tribunal, or a statue of the Living Tribunal. It's like a stone head.
In this episode?
Yes, in this episode. One of the things in the landscape is like, it's you know, the Living Tribunal has like 3 heads.
Oh, I do.
And like a cloak, a veil worn over top of them.
Mm-hmm.
You can see one made of stone lying on the ground in the background of one of these scenes.
Okay.
I also, a few moments ago, there was a Sphinx, like the Egyptian.
Yeah, I did caught that one.
The Sphinx, yeah.
Further illustrating the point, just random shit dumped randomly all around this place.
Right. A lot of it is stuff like, hey, there's the Eiffel Tower, or hey, there's the Golden Gate Bridge. And it's like, it's the kind of scenery I would expect to see in Outworld during Mortal Kombat 3. It's like it's what a merger would look like.
Yeah. Turn around. God, he gets so close.
So close.
Just do it.
I really wonder if they can find time to have him defeat the TVA and also ride a jet ski next episode.
I mean,
is there room for both?
I feel like it's going to be really weird if he doesn't. I feel like it's much more important for him to ride the jet ski than it is for him to help bring down the TVA.
I think we're all waiting for it. Like everybody, wants the jet ski. I have seen fan art of him on a jet ski.
Yeah, it's a thing. Fucking, the TVA, that's all well and good, but you better fucking get that jet ski.
This boat, the USS Eldridge, that's a thing that went missing or something.
Clearly it is.
I'm gonna look that up.
It's a very
I've heard other people refer to it as though it's famous and I should recognize what it is.
On the nose name there. Do you think there's any significance?
Okay, the USS Eldridge was involved in the Philadelphia experiment.
Oh, okay.
Which was an attempt to try and make it invisible.
Okay, yeah.
Like to invent a fucking cloaking device.
I've read about that before. Okay. Well.
And apparently, like, the story's supposedly made up. Nobody, like... It I mean, obviously sounds like science fiction.
It does. I mean, it's a little bit like the Manhattan Project type shit, slightly.
Right.
Who's in the car?
So presumably in the MCU, in some timeline, the Philadelphia experiment was real,
right?
And it sent the ship through time, and it had to be pruned.
Or like maybe presumably it was successful, and it's like you're not supposed to be successful, damn it.
Yeah, right.
Much like Loki.
There was
how fitting.
There was a movie in 1984 about the Philadelphia experiment, which I believe is a time travel movie where like the ship like becomes a time machine accidentally.
See, it's all starting to come together. Yeah. That's good. Was one of my big questions going into this thing, but we'll get there in a little bit.
What question in particular?
Oh, we'll get there. Somebody asked it, so it's in the questions.
Okay. Oh, one of their questions. Yeah. I thought you had a question.
Well, no, I had the question, then somebody else had the same question.
Okay.
So we'll get there. In the meantime.
In the meantime.
What the fuck? I don't even know what was going on. I was thinking about fucking her coming up in here.
God, I was curious what happened to Hunter B-15.
I was too. I assumed they just pruned her, but no.
Yeah, after being knocked out in the Timekeeper's room, one punched to the ground. Yeah. Did not help much in that fight, despite obviously being a big, tough, intimidating person.
For some reason, like her walking in here, sending the guards out, opening the secret door. I thought she would just go in there and like it's an isolation booth and was it Cyndi Lauper's Time After Time starts and she just starts singing it to herself. I don't know why, dude.
I am curious why B-15's being kept in a force field instead of just being allowed to sit at the table.
what is the... Well, she doesn't want any of the other TVA guards and whatnot to know that she's in here.
I feel like that's fairly obvious. What
You would think.
What is it you're out to learn that you couldn't already know? You literally had her... You were talking to her earlier in this episode, and she told you she wanted to find the real timekeeper.
I told you, man. This is another reason why I break her limbs.
It's... And I...
She's a little too smug in this scene.
You think so?
A little extra. Maybe, turn it down just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I don't know. I think it's warranted smugness.
You think it's warranted smugness? Okay, that's fine. I don't know. It's a lot of smug.
I think given that she's already in like a you have me captured situation, but you're going to lose.
No, I
you think you've got me, but
I gotcha.
The person you're after is going to beat you, and I'm going to enjoy it. That's warranted smugness. I would be smug in that situation.
She's doing the Coulson thing, right? You lack conviction. Coulson's already going to die. He's still talking shit.
Oh, Coulson's been dead for a long time. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. thoroughly not canon.
I know.
I wish they'd improved that timeline.
After Loki stabbed him, he was still sitting there just talking shit for a while.
Right, he was.
Being smug. I get it. That's kind of what she's doing. Now this is sus.
He is green, isn't he?
Uh-huh. He is. So is your tie, bitch. And so is Renslayer's shirt.
I don't think Ravana's a Loki.
Hey, come on. I don't know, man.
Ravana is much too against chaos to be a Loki.
Is she, though?
Or
is she just against chaos that she doesn't like or benefits her directly?
No, I think she needs structure. I think I was on the ball, pinpointing her D&D alignment as lawful neutral.
No, I think I crushed that one actually.
I think I'm always right about everything I say.
No, I'm pretty sure I
you don't think maybe you could be wrong? No, not even a little bit.
I mean, why? That's inviting failure. There's no room for failure.
I do not lack conviction.
No. We've learned that's a problem.
I will not allow doubt into my mind. Later she asks if it's a tablecloth, and he says no, it's a blanket. I don't think he was telling the truth.
I don't think he was either. It looks kind of like a Slytherin flag.
It's very tiny. And it doesn't really look like it's made out of, like, good blanketing material. Like, it doesn't look particularly thick and warm.
And y'all
it just kind of looks like shiny and fancy. Yeah, there is that. How do you experience the cold when you're from fucking Jotunheim?
Like, this is the thing. Y'all should have, like,
to be fair,
a +10 fucking cold defense or some shit.
I mean, Odin did something to him to give him, like,
he did. You're right.
Pink skin, because like he only looks like a frost giant when he's holding the casket of ancient winters.
It is. Odin is really, really buff. And Odin, I mean, because Loki presumably was not a god when he was a frozen baby on a rock.
No, he was a runt frost giant.
He was, but now he's the god of mischief.
Odin appears to have literally given him Asgardian DNA.
It's true. It's a thing. Odin is buff. This is a long scene with a lot of quiet pauses. It's okay. That's fine. I'm not complaining. I won't lie. I will be like, man,
I enjoy this scene because it's like how awkward they both are.
Yeah, they really are. It's important. This is important.
It is actually probably the most important scene in the show.
It is very important because this is what Loki has accomplished on this show that he didn't have before. Trust. Friends. Trusting friends.
The ability to feel for another person.
Yes. And it might be romantic love, it might not, but that's not the point. You got to be able to actually have a good friend, a true friend, before you can.
Well, I think the irony is the more you look at it as romantic love, the less it's for another person, and the more it is for himself.
It's true.
Like the only person Loki could love is another Loki.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's definitely true.
There's a lot of this throughout the whole show, but especially this episode, characters sort of saying their character development out loud.
Yeah.
like Loki going, if I betrayed you and ruled the universe, then I'd finally be happy, sarcastically.
Yes.
Because he's realized that's not what makes him happy. And classic Loki, almost all of his dialogue is like critical of himself and other Lokis.
Right.
And like just well aware of and picking apart his flaws. How is this creature alive?
I don't know,
this
man.
Fucking bird.
Okay, that thing, I didn't notice it. That's a fucking
that is
ship.
that is a Thanos ship, yes.
That's a Thanos ship AF. I didn't notice it, but that's hella what it is. I forgot what they're called. We know their name.
Oh god, we do, don't we?
Yeah, but I don't remember.
Wait, did Did Ronan have the same ship or just a ship like it?
He might have had a ship like it. He might have gotten the ship from Thanos. Like, Thanos gave it to him to help him do his shit. What was it called?
Thanos' ship is called the Sanctuary 2.
Yes.
So I wonder if then Ronan the Accuser had Sanctuary 1 or something.
He might have had Sanctuary 1 in the Captain Marvel movie. Which
Carol doesn't fly through Ronan's ship. Ronan escapes.
Yeah, he does.
Ronan sees her flying through all the other ships and is like, we got to get out of here. Which is the most disappointing fucking thing of that movie, because that movie needed a real end boss. She should have fought Ronan.
That would have been something. Listen, let's not talk about what that movie needs.
Okay, no, Ronan's ship...
Was the Dark Aster?
The Dark Aster.
Yeah.
Which is a Kree ship, but it looks the same as Thanos's, so Thanos must be flying a Kree ship.
And why not? One of these things is not like the other. Or is it? I want to point out how expensive this show looks.
That has been a thing that I've been thinking about throughout. That there's really no point in the show where I felt like the budget was being skimped on or was like less than impressed with the money being spent.
Oh,
like,
look, there's the budget right there. You can
sets,
see that.
costumes, CGI. This is not, because they've done some stuff where it felt like they were saving a bit of money in WandaVision and in Falcon and Bucky.
Yeah.
And I suspect they're going to save quite a lot of money in Hawkeye because it's about two regular people who shoot bows and arrows.
Right. Indeed. But this, it appears that they spared no expense.
I've also, like, I read
I
an
like
interview.
how he puts his hands on his hips right there. Yeah, dude. And I like that he struggles with that sword in a minute.
Yeah. I read an interview from, I think, the showrunner of She-Hulk was saying that they were given an unlimited budget, like literally told to never worry about money, just do the show. Which makes sense for a show where Mark Ruffalo is going to play the Hulk.
I mean, but I'm also, like, especially where Marvel's at now, burn it to the wow. Like, he gets so close, man, so close. This is insane. Like, yeah, from a creative standpoint, don't think about the budget when you're writing the script. Like, just write the best story that you can come up with, and then once you have that, then you can, like, see where you can save money or whatnot. But no, on this thing, it's it's an asshole. Yeah, like, I haven't seen the budget. I don't know where it is. Everything looks really good.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, I'm sure they used the volume stuff, that shit that they used for Mandalorian.
I have to say, the plan of I'm gonna lay hands on a cloud that turns everything it touches to dust.
Yeah. I'm gonna parry it. It's exactly what happens. Dude, just parry, bro.
I guess just don't get hit.
No, yeah, just do the thing, man.
Just don't get hit.
Get good.
Right, get good, Scrubs.
Get good. That's pretty much what happens here. You think there's any significance to all the purple, or is it just a really nice contrast to the green?
I think it's just because they needed Elliot to be purple.
But why?
Because that's what he looks like.
Oh.
Well, I guess it could have been blue. As long as it looked like a magic smoke monster with some, like, red facial features inside.
I mean, purple and green are nice contrast together.
That's true.
It is a thing.
There's been a lot of purple in this show. Like, Lamentis was all purple.
It was. What? Do it. Struggle with this sword. He's gonna have a problem.
It's hard to sheath and unsheath things on your back.
No, fuck it, damn it. Okay. Those things are awkward to unsheath.
They didn't really exist in the real world.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Swords are supposed to be sheathed on your hip.
They are. That thing is just like, man, fuck you. I'm going for her.
I think the flaming sword is not glowing as bright enough as her fucking green enchantment magic, I guess.
Man, dude. Oh shit! What is that over there?
That's a lot of green. Yeah.
Do this shit. This is pretty buff.
Yeah, look at how big, like how much he's hamming it up, the magic summon hand motions.
Uh-huh. Don't hold it back. Go for it, dude. You're classic Loki.
You are the realest of the Lokis.
You are. You're the Loki. There's no more Lokis.
I want you to. You are 120% Loki. Play that.
I'm sure they had, like, comic book panels they pulled into, like, do this thing and then do this.
I love that he summons Asgard.
Yeah, he builds his own Asgard. Well, it's like, I've heard a couple people talk about maybe that's what he did when he was in isolation all those years.
He just lived in a...
Just practiced building illusions of home. He had the time.
I hope that this means like that our Loki, the show's Loki, should he hang around beyond the show and be in more stuff, will do more magic.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the alley out thing. Are you ever not gonna fall for that? He's going for all that shit. Oh, they parried.
Just grab the smoke.
Yeah, man,
just grab the smoke.
It's real, I promise. No, over here. This one's real. Okay, I'm kidding. It's real this time, I swear. And then here, like,
famous last words.
he got the chance to like go out not a coward like our
to have the defiant heroic ending moment.
He didn't run away this time. So I mean, he gets to the same place that our Loki A did, but it takes him way longer. That shot's so sick.
He gets to go out laughing. It's a better death than Loki A got.
No, that's definitely true.
And then you see his helmet was rusted.
It was rusty.
Like, so.
I
don't know how you didn't notice the rust the first time.
I'm sorry. I missed the fucking rust, but I got it now. I see the rust. The rust is there. It's rusty.
And now we see what lies beyond the end of time.
Or do we?
We will in a moment.
Will we?
We have to wait. Loki has to see it, then we get to see it.
Open your eyes, bitch. Is it God? Is it God?
It's not God. It's a castle.
Is it?
Is
it the House of M?
It is not the House of... Magneto's not behind this door either, I promise.
Are you sure that's not the literal House of M right there?
No.
Come on, man.
It's not Magneto.
But what if it was the House of M, dude? Maybe. That's the twist. It's an actual house this time.
Look, I'm gonna call it. That's Chronopolis, and the bad guy is Kang. That's my leading prediction.
So here we have some fucking house on the edge of time here.
Yes. It's got like a lighthousey tower at the top there.
It does. And then after that is just unconstructed time space, allegedly.
It could be another dimension.
It could be
some Doctor Strangey type other world. It could be the quantum universe.
It could be quantum universe. It also looks
because as we know from the Ant-Man movies and from Endgame, the quantum universe is a pathway to time travel.
It is. It's a thing. It could be. We don't know. And they left us there.
Yes, this is the ending of this episode. The final mysteries will be solved next episode.
Will they?
The last episode.
Will they?
The end of the timeline comes next week.
Allegedly, there's going to be another season, though.
I'm always up for more Loki.
Yeah, this is easily the one.
I will definitely watch another season.
I will hella watch it. Maybe Hella's in there.
I do the point of this show was to give Loki a cast of characters outside of Thor, a cast of his own to interact with. That said, it's always nice to see Loki interact with the other characters of the Marvel universe.
It is,
especially his brother.
Certainly.
And certainly Thor could use some good news in his life at this point in time.
Yeah, could.
Like, hey, your brother is actually not dead. Or at least a version of him.
He's having to hang around with the fucking Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, bless his heart, dude.
I would get sick of
Help.
Star-Lord pretty quick.
Help, man. Help. Give him something.
I imagine that status quo isn't going to last very long in his
I hope
movie.
not.
He's gonna be ditching those guys in the first act.
Man, it's just somebody help him out. Sif and Beta Ray Bill and Loki show
Where
up.
the fuck is Sif?
Dude, that's the thing. He needs to find Sif really fast, and hopefully she has Beta Ray Bill and maybe Loki.
Actually, that's a thing that season 2 could have, Sif and Bill. Because when is are we going to get a Thor 5? That feels iffy to me.
I don't know. You have to watch Thor 4 first.
When is there going to be an opportunity to do Beta Ray Bill?
After
Four movies is for a single character is unprecedented for the MCU so far. Thor will be the first guy to get a number 4. I don't know if he'll get a 5. If he doesn't, Bill's got to show up fucking somewhere.
He does. It'll just depend on how well that movie does. If it does anywhere near like Ragnarok did, though, like.
I mean, that's true. That's like, what else is Hemsworth going to do with his career? Because every time he does something that's not Thor, it doesn't go that well.
And that's good. Well, usually. There was that thing that he did on Netflix that was good.
I haven't seen it.
I forgot what it was called, so I can't help you.
Yeah, you can't even remember what it's called.
I can't remember what it was called.
Could it have been?
I don't remember. He used a gun and he shot a bunch of people.
All right.
Damn. Oh, well, there's always Ghostbusters, too.
Not for that cast.
Nope, just for Chris Hemsworth. Do another cast, but bring in Chris Hemsworth.
Okay, have him play a completely different character who exists in the real Ghostbusters universe.
Yeah, man, that was just a variant.
All right.
Yeah, we're there. Yeah.
I don't know. I it's kind of un-Ghostbusters to have a big buff guy around. That's not really what they were about. Like
Is there anything they were about that's
extraordinarily handsome 6.5 foot tall man with muscles doesn't really fit in with like whoever this generation's Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd would be.
All right, fine. No Ghostbusters 2. No Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters is very much about a bunch of like blue collar slobs who have they've turned the study of life beyond death into a boring and mundane clock in and clock out day job that they're all sick of. That's the joke. Mm-hmm. That's the premise of Ghostbusters that makes it so funny. Is it's what if studying the afterlife was like being a fucking janitor or pest exterminator.
We can continue that on the Ghostbusters episode of episodes.
You want to do that?
We can, sure. Why
you know
not?
what? It's gonna have Paul Rudd in it. We can count that as an Ant-Man.
Yeah. See, it works. There's a lot of questions here, and by questions, I don't mean the questions we have in the question thing. Although that's true too.
We do have those. That's also yes.
Yeah, lots of questions. Like what?
Like who's behind the TVA?
Well, sort of. And what's the actual reason for it? Like, what's the benefit?
Well, so I have a theory. Okay. So, assuming that the head of the TVA is not just another Loki, it's probably somebody from the future, because all the technology that made this possible would have to exist in the future and not in the past or present. We don't have time machines right now. Well, I mean, Tony Stark just invented them.
I mean, but like that's not an issue with the TVA. Like that lady, like C-20, she was from the future, right?
Well, I mean, all the people who work for the TVA are from all across history because they're variants that have been kidnapped and brainwashed. But the person who created all of this would have to have access to incredibly advanced technology, especially time travel tech.
Yes.
So they have to be from the future relative to us. So I believe
like a sorcerer time, like Eye of Agamotto.
I believe the sacred timeline is the one in which this person is born. They are protecting the circumstances that will allow them to come to pass and erasing timelines where they don't exist. That's what I think. I don't know that that's the end. Like, the end goal is probably just to rule the universe.
Yeah, that's a.
But why is this timeline the sacred timeline and not other timelines?
Yeah.
It's because this is the one that leads to me.
That was the one that I was. That's why I was saying the thing about, like, I don't actually think it's Doctor Doom, but
and so for example, we've talked about different possible reasons why the TVA would not have stopped Steve from living in an alternate timeline with Peggy.
Oh boy, people's really confused.
And you are sticking with the theory that this entire show happens before Steve takes the stones back to their proper places.
Well, it's difficult because it doesn't matter when this show happens. Like, at any point, if the TVA get removed from the equation, all throughout history and the future, branches happen again and they don't get snipped.
But I would like to present the theory that... So we were told in the first episode that the Avengers interfering with time is supposed to happen.
Yes.
That it's time travel the TVA is okay with.
Yes.
So obviously that's because the future of the sacred timeline is one where the snap is undone. Another thing that has to happen on the sacred timeline is Steve has to come back as an old man and give Sam a shield. Otherwise, Sam will never become Captain America.
Yes.
So obviously, if my theory is correct, that the sacred timeline is the one where the main villain is eventually born into, and that they're trying to protect their own creation and prevent any paradoxes that would wipe themselves out. If that's true, then they want Steve to live for 90 years in another timeline with Peggy. They don't want to prune that timeline, because if they prune that timeline, Steve will never return to the main one with a shield and give it to Sam.
Yes.
So there you go.
Yes. I mean, yeah, and that could be the case. Or
they don't want to change the history they're from.
Right. Yeah. That's very, very, very plausible. It's to say, and it's like, it's similar to like the thing with Doctor Doom or whomever. Like they just designed the timeline to arrange for the perfect sequence of events to hand time and all of existence off to them to be unchallenged.
Right. The sacred timeline is the one where they get to rule the universe at the end of the day.
Yes. That could definitely be the case.
It's the whatever circumstances benefit them the most are the ones that are allowed to happen, and everything else is pruned.
But like, just to point out, like, I got another one of those memes yesterday, and I was like, man, come on. It's not a plot hole for the thing that like that to happen. The Steve, like, why didn't they go get Steve? It's not a plot hole for the thing where there's Lokis that are crazy different. So how did they get to that point of being so different if they were pruning? And any of the other changes, you know, Doctor Strange looking into the future and doing all that shit, and they make the one thing that was the timeline that works out and whatever, like, and the TVA had no visibility in any of that to Doctor Strange at that point. If the TVA is ever stopped ever at any point because they're outside of time, all throughout the history of time and forward in time continues to happen normally and starts branching new things immediately. So by the time you get up to that point of the MCU present, there's a billion branches that are already out there and ready to go because no one's been there to prune them. Because that's how the weird time in fucking TVA shit works.
Right. There's the whole fact that the TVA is non-linear.
Yes.
And so you have to think fourth dimensionally, and it's very confusing, and anything can be true when that's true.
Yeah. Like, so Mobius has not been at the TVA for 30 years. He's been there way longer than that. C20, we heard from her.
He doesn't know how long he's been there.
No, yeah,
he says in the first episode that time passes strangely there, and you lose track.
Right. But like presumably, like with the Josta and the jet ski and all that shit, we can assume that he was probably from the early 90s, that point in there, but he's not been there just for that amount of time. And it's the same reason why at the same time you have C-20, who's from the future. And Enchantress here, Sylvie, said that she had memories from hundreds of years before joining the TVA that was still in the future. Like,
Right.
it's all at the same time. It's all going on. So if the TVA is ever removed from the equation, all of the other alternate timelines branch back from the beginning of time. Naturally.
It's all very esoteric and confusing.
It is confusing.
There's a lot of quantum physics and philosophical mumbo jumbo questions when you start talking about how could X happen if Y that caused it is removed.
But
and it's like,
it's not Back to the Future logic.
Yeah, no, it's weird.
That's the best way to put it. It is weird, but it's not plot holes though.
I don't personally approve of the Doctor Who approach of just shrugging and don't think about it. It's wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey.
No. Yeah, don't.
I think that is a little too cavalier an attitude for a writer to have. Yeah. Just, we don't have to keep track of it. Just ignore it.
Oh, I absolutely.
But sometimes when you're writing time travel, it's like you have to not think about it too hard or you'll drive yourself crazy.
And like, that's the thing. If you want to think about the time and how that all things worked out, there is a plausible way for it not to be like a plot holes and whatnot, if that's what you want to focus on and look into. But if you don't, they don't make you have to understand all that shit and put you through that. It's there if you want it, but they're also not being like, hey, smoke and mirrors, don't look at it, because whatever. No, there's something there. If
they're not just hand waving and going whatever.
Yes. Oh, okay. The question that I had about this thing, though.
Okay.
That thing that Mobius said, and they've said from the beginning, whatever she said, the dogma of the timekeepers or whatnot, is they have not written the end of time yet.
Yeah.
And that's presumably what we are here.
We are looking at this is the last point, at the beyond the void at the end of time. So yes, this is the end of all the universe's history. So presumably,
right. The question is, well, it kind of feels like there's a problem. Like, this person has, for lack of a better phrase, no pun intended, hit a wall.
I would imagine that if you're living at the end of all of existence, you're the only one there and everything else is dead.
It's true. But, like, as far as, like, just designing the timeline goes, there's a problem if they have, in fact, designed the rest of the timeline. Right. What's stopping them from finishing it? There seems to be a problem or whatnot, not just they haven't done it yet. I don't know. There seems to be
I don't think she, whoever it is, actually has designed this. I think they just traveled to the very end of time and put their base there so that no one would find them.
Which raises a bunch of other questions too. But yeah, that is the question.
Which, incidentally, Alone in the Void at the very end of time is also where the policers of history in the DC universe made their base. fucking Rip Hunter and Wave Rider and Booster Gold. They protect history from a place called the Vanishing Point, which is at the end of time.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean,
but I don't know chicken and the egg situation, who did what first, because obviously in Marvel Comics, Kang, as I have said, Kang the Conqueror's the city of Chronopolis is in fact located at the end of time. Although so Kang the Conqueror has had a number of identities he's gone by throughout comics.
Oh yes, he has.
So the Fantastic Four encountered him for the first time when he had traveled back in time to ancient Egypt and was ruling Egypt as a pharaoh named Rama Tut. And Rama-Tut also fought Apocalypse back when he was born.
Because that's always fun.
Yes.
Apocalypse is sick.
Apocalypse can be sick.
He
I don't
can be
know
sick,
that.
you're right. He can be sick. He can be really shitty too, man.
Yeah, he can.
Oh, it's bad.
So
Let's not focus on that.
Kang has also gone by the name Immortus, and Immortus is the identity he was going by in the comics when he lived at the end of time, wherein he actually policed the timeline and deleted variants. The term variant, in fact, comes from the comics and was not invented by this show.
Right.
So the TVA's mission in this show is something that Immortus did in the source material. And when Immortus was doing this is when he was involved with Ravana and when Alioth tried to... Alioth, that it looks like it could be pronounced either way, but the show chose the pronunciation I wouldn't have naturally gone with.
It's potato,
but it's fair. Alioth. We'll go with Alioth.
Sure.
Or Alioth. I can't even remember now which one the show used.
Alioth. It's like Goliath.
Alioth. It rhymes with lion. Yeah.
Or okay, that too. That works.
That's how I remember it. Alioth.
Alioth
was from that run of the comics where he was Immortus.
And what was Immortus doing? What was the motivation, his plot?
I believe he was pruning people who could be a threat to him. I don't know exactly. He might have just been doing like the TVA dogma, like he just believed the timeline needed policing and alternate versions of people needed to be deleted. I don't know. I haven't read a lot of Kang the Conqueror comics personally.
Yeah. I have not either. Full disclosure.
I've read some of the most famous ones. I've read Avengers Forever, which is probably the most famous Kang storyline.
Yes.
And I've read some of the more modern stuff where he has not been used super well.
Mm-hmm.
I read the origin of the Young Avengers, where Kang, as a teenager, traveled back in time to the present and pretended to be a teenage version of Iron Man called Iron Lad. And
okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I've read some Kang stuff, but I have not read like a lot of the famous like 60s, 70s, 80s Kang stuff.
Which the vast majority of Kang stuff probably won't matter that much. Because
one of the things about Kang, because Kang is a time travel character, past versions of himself are often erased and replaced by other Kangs. And sometimes Kang fights other Kangs. Like there's a story out there where Kang the Conqueror fights Immortus.
Right. It's
There's a story out there where there's a whole council of Kangs, like a whole bunch of Kang variants ruling together, and then one particular Kang betrays all and kills them all because he wants to be the only Kang.
Right.
So it's a time travel villain. All the time travel tropes have eventually played out.
And he's had a lot of them. He's had a fuck ton of them. There's so many different versions and whatnot, so like all of them, like the vast majority of his different like motivations and schemes and plots and whatnot probably aren't going to be on display necessarily. But the Immortus one and that stuff does seem the most likely.
That's the thing, is that like obviously whenever you suggest a Disney Plus Marvel show is hinting towards such and such, ever since WandaVision kind of pulled the rug out from everybody's gun shy about it now, and they assume that everything is a red herring, that every hint towards secret character behind the door is going to be a false lead, you're being tricked.
Which is equally a fallacy. Like
the thing is that WandaVision and Loki don't have the same showrunner.
They don't?
And the showrunner, not Kevin Feige, is the one who put all of those red herrings into WandaVision.
It is true.
So what happened in WandaVision doesn't dictate what's going to happen in all of the Disney Plus shows.
No, it does not.
That was its own thing.
It's also important to...
Each show is separately its own thing.
It depends on which thing you're talking about. Like, the people that are mad about the Fox Silver situation, like,
yes,
that's different than the Mephisto one to me.
Right. I agree. The Quicksilver not being Fox Silver, the Ralph Boner thing, is different from people like, look, I was one of them who was looking at the tiniest things like, ooh, that fly on the curtain is a reference to a Mephisto comic. Like, that was dumb of me. That was dumb of all of us. We were...
we learned.
We were deliberately looking for, because we expected there to be a secret and a mystery to solve, we were looking for clues, and we fell for the red herrings. And for things that were completely mundane that we assumed mean more than they did.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the Mephisto situation. These are incredibly overt references.
They are.
The presence of Ravonna, the presence of Eliath, the fact that the bad guy's headquarters is beyond the end of time. The pruning of variants concept comes from an Immortus comic. That Stark Tower saying QENG on it. These are references to Kang the Conqueror straight out of the comics.
They are.
They could still be red herrings, and the bad guy won't be Kang.
They could, or just...
It's still possible.
There also could be
I just want to say, the read on these references is very different from seeing a fly on the window curtain and thinking it's Mephisto. It's very different.
It is very different. Also, like, WandaVision was a Wanda story. Like, you don't really need Mephisto to tell that story about Wanda.
No, you don't. You kind of don't. Like, it's
not about...
There's so much stuff in Wanda's backstory, multiple cosmic entities, and you can reference any one of them or none of them at all. We still got Agatha Harkness and the twins.
We did.
And they shoved the Darkhold in there.
Yeah. And she's the Scarlet Witch now. That's a big...
And here's the thing. WandaVision was a setup for Doctor Strange 2, so any references they didn't pull in WandaVision might be because they're saving them for that movie.
It is true. The fucking... Her twins could still be with a Mephisto character later.
Or Chthon.
Possibly. Or Chthon. Like, all these things. But they weren't what WandaVision itself was about. So you didn't need them in that...
WandaVision, at the end of the day, was about getting her to a place where she calls herself the Scarlet Witch, where she knows magic and not just Infinity Gem telepathy and telekinesis, where she's actually practicing sorcery and knows that's what it is. And the setup for her to appear in Doctor Strange 2.
And for her to stop trying to run towards a normal life. Quote, a normal life, what she thought was.
Sure.
Because, that's the whole...
Also, part of it was to justify bringing the Vision back from the dead.
That too. There was the thing, which they did, and he's fucking scary.
White Vision is still a character that exists who will appear again.
Out there somewhere. But no, she's not trying to fucking live in picket fence neighborhood anymore or whatever. She gets it. Like, no.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be happy. I'm gonna be fucking Scarlet Witch. I'm crazy. I can't live around people. I'm the Hulk. Damn it. I can fuck people up. This story.
This story is about a lot of things. It's obviously mostly about evolving Loki, putting him through character development.
As it should be.
But it's also a lot about world building the time and universes aspect of the MCU.
It is.
And that's why I think it'll be okay if the main villain isn't directly connected to Loki, like Kang. Like, obviously, if it were a Loki variant in that castle, it would directly connect to Loki and it would make sense, and I'd understand. But I also think if it's somebody Loki doesn't know, like Kang the Conqueror, it'll also make sense because part of this show's job isn't just to develop Loki. Because I think we've already neared, if not hit, the end goal of that character development. This Loki and Sylvie, by finding each other and coming to terms with what they really want in life and what will make them happy, and to not be the villain anymore.
They have done that.
I think we've already achieved that, and all that's left is to slay the dragon and wrap up the story. That said, since Kang the Conqueror will be in Ant-Man 3 after this, if he is the guy in that castle, he's not going to be defeated. He's going to come back in a movie.
Yes.
So maybe the guy in that castle is somebody who Loki and Sylvie will permanently defeat, and then Kang and or Ravonna will fill that power vacuum after Loki and Sylvie have left with their job done.
That is also a thing. I think that whomever is at the end of this journey thing and whatnot, the person that Sylvie specifically has been running from her whole life, has been chasing her whole life, and that big arc of what they are all kind of talking about. And like I said before, the little kid Loki, every time we try to change ourselves for the better, someone gets in our way and kills us or prunes
sends us here to die.
Like,
sends us here to die.
I do still think whoever it is that's at the end of this story, the Loki story, not the TVA story, the Loki story, is someone who's going to be more significant to Loki than Kang. But
like I said, if that is the case, I will understand why that serves the narrative best.
But I
also think it's possible. It's possible that the person in the castle, for them, it's not personal. It's not specifically about Loki's. It's just that, like, they do that to everybody. Everybody who tries to change from what this person wants is sent to the void to die. It's just that Loki's live the longest. They are the ones who are best at escaping Goliath.
It could be.
Because, like, maybe there's a whole history of, I don't know, Tony Stark or Doctor Strange variants, too, who have tried to defy their own destinies and been pruned, but Goliath ate all of them.
It could be.
So maybe for Loki and Sylvie it's been personal, but maybe for whoever's in that castle it's not personal.
Well, I mean, but it still felt pretty personal to the other Lokis too.
Sure.
The other ones that we saw here, classic Loki and whatnot. It could be both. It's probably a combination. And the combination is very possible. Kang could be someone else that's involved with the TVA, not here, but someone else that...
One of the reasons I brought up that Kang has gone by other names in the past, like Immortus, is that the MCU, being its own thing, sort of like an on-film version of an Ultimate Universe, where they can change stuff if it fits the narrative, they can reimagine characters. And, for example, Sylvie is a mashup of Femme Loki with the Enchantress.
She is.
They could have the person in the castle be someone else, like a Loki variant, but maybe that Loki variant goes by the name Immortus.
It's very possible.
You know, they could pull a move like that, where Immortus isn't Kang, so the villain of the show is Immortus, but it's not Kang. They could do that.
They could.
And I just wanted to put that possibility out there.
Yeah, and that's like I said, a good example of it could be a combination of these things.
And I will give credit in our questions on the Discord. Merc also floated the possibility that it could be a Loki who calls himself Immortus as opposed to Kang calling himself Immortus.
Extremely possible.
So I am not the only person who's had that observation.
Yeah. I would not make a single uncaged gamer face if that happens. No hot dog mouth here.
We don't make those faces for nothing around here. We're jaded old men. We don't.
Every once in a while, when they have...
My mouth doesn't have those muscles.
I don't even remember. The last time I think I made that fucking face was the end credits scene in Spider-Man with
I can
with James.
say "oh" as in the phrase "oh shit," but I can't just make an "oh" face and freeze on it.
I didn't hold it that long.
That's not something I do. That's not a habit that I've ever picked up.
I definitely did, because my wife likes pointing it out and making fun of me about it. I did, like, in the theater, like, there was a gasp and there was a hot dog face, like, it happened. Whenever Jameson was up there, because it's all fucking happening so fast. What? Like, that was the last time. It's rare, though. And no, a Loki Mortis would
You just made the YouTube content creator face.
yeah, I know. That's
nobody's ever pointed that out to me that I've done that. So as far as I know, I don't do that.
okay. It's sometimes it does happen, but that just means that it's special. When you do it for every single one of your videos and you're doing that in the fucking thumbnail, it doesn't really mean anything.
I generally like it. It's very briefly "oh" and a much longer "shit."
Mm-hmm. God, but I hope it's a good shit.
But I don't think the face the person makes when they're screaming the word "shit" is thumbnailable.
No.
I don't think people would recognize.
No. I call it the hot dog. You have to have your mouth open enough to eat a hot dog. It makes sense, right?
Fair enough.
Your mouth has to be that open. Not shit. You can't eat a hot dog with a shit mouth.
I feel like a person, if you took a snapshot of someone saying the word "shit," they just kind of look like they're smiling.
It would, yeah.
With their teeth open.
Yeah. You
wouldn't be able to read their lips because it has like 2 syllables.
Yeah, you have to make your face to look like an emote. If you can recognize the emote, then okay, it works. Do you want to jump to questions?
Yeah, let's get some questions.
Okay, we can jump to questions. Give me like 30 seconds. I'm going to grab this thing over here. I'll be right back.
Okay.
It's fine. I'm not going to edit this out.
All right.
I'm just letting you know, and everybody listen.
So you better be quick.
I'm going to be fast. I'm going to be fucking... hang on.
Go. Do it. Fast. Speed. Clock is ticking. I'll do my best to fill the dead air, but I got fucking nothing. Let's see. Questions. All right, here's where the new questions start. I am prepared when he returns with the question. I think it's already been more than 30 seconds. Filthy liar.
Okay.
That was a little longer than I was.
God damn it! I did my best.
It's fine. I tried to fill the dead air. There's a bit of quiet, but
all right.
I rambled a little. I have the questions ready. Are you ready for some questions?
Oh, sick! I'm so ready for questions. Let's question.
All right. Our first question, which comes from you.
Sick. Get the ball rolling. I tried that.
Why is WB totally cool with doing live-action Superman TV shows, but not Batman TV shows?
It's a good question.
It's a good.
Why is that?
Here's my response to that question is: do Gotham, Pennyworth, and Batwoman count?
Was there a live-action Batman in those movies? Like, I don't think Gotham counts exactly.
I think Bruce puts on the Batsuit in the last season of Gotham, but I don't know if it's a full Batsuit or if it's like, he doesn't have the logo or the ears. It's just it's a prototype. I don't know, because I'm not gonna watch that show.
No. So I don't know, but you know, but you know what I'm saying, like for Superman.
No, like I get like the Superman. The Superman show is aggressively a Superman show.
Yes.
Like, Clark Kent is Superman. He wears the Superman suit and he fights crimes, flying and shooting heat vision, and he's married to Lois and they have kids, And the villain is a Lex Luthor. I think he's like an alternate Lex from a universe where Lex is black.
Yes. Okay.
Just because they wanted to cast a black guy, and because the CW already had a Lex Luthor, he was played by the skinny nerdy one from Two and a Half Men.
Okay. Okay. So
they wanted to recast Lex, so they said multiverse.
but why?
But yeah, it's a Superman show, and there's no Batman show, and I think the reason there's no Batman show is because WB thinks of Batman as like, why wouldn't we just make it a movie? That'll make us more money. Everybody goes to see Batman movies.
They do.
They seem to do shows of characters. They seem to do shows of characters that they don't think will be as successful as a movie. Like they dropped Henry Cavill because they didn't think there was an audience left for Superman. That Zack Snyder's universe was too unpopular to get asses in seats if they kept making Superman movies, which might be true. I think Henry Cavill was not the problem at all, and he could certainly be in a good Superman movie. And I don't think there's anything necessarily about Zack's take on Superman that ruins it forever and forces you to reboot. I think it's not great, but none of it is like, this is so tainted we have to start over from the beginning. Mm-hmm. But that's what WB feels, I think. And so they greenlit a Superman show because they knew they weren't going to do a Superman movie anytime soon. But with Batman, there is always another Batman movie in the works at every point in time from now until the heat death of the universe.
I mean, it has to be. I mean, listen, first of all, it's Warner Brothers. There's no need for actual logic.
That's true. That's true. We are talking about literally the worst studio in all of movies. And the only reason they're not the worst studio in all of games is because Electronic Arts exists. Yeah,
they do. Boy. It's just not saying much, though. Because Warner Brothers is awful. Awful. Just fucking...
It's real bad.
It's really... I said it last week. That would be my fucking bad time prison loop. But, no. They're not
just
nice people.
Taking meetings with Warner Brothers. Repeat.
It's like,
that's
man,
torture. Yeah.
You love this thing growing up. Come work for us, and we'll make you hate it, and you'll fucking whatever. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, WB is not obligated to make choices that make sense.
No. I swear to God, like, that thing I say is funny. They won't do anything, but it's true. They won't do anything unless someone else has done it a lot, and it's proven to be monetarily viable. And in some cases, that means they won't do anything that they haven't already done themselves.
Yeah. If there's one thing they've done many, many times and it's proven to be monetarily successful, it's make Batman movies.
Yeah. And they've made successful Superman shows before.
And you can see this in literally anything DC Universe, is they always treat it as the Batman universe, and then all of these other characters can get the table scraps.
They do, yeah.
And that's why Superman's on TV and not in a movie, and Batman's in movies and not on TV, because TV is the table scraps.
To Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Feels good, right? Okay. Well, listen.
Yeah.
I wanted to just bring it up because I was wondering. I'm glad we.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It's a real question, and we had a real answer.
Yeah. We can answer questions that aren't specific to the thing we're doing here, but
that's true. That's true.
It's okay.
If it's in the episode's questions channel, we're obligated to read the question, whether it's about the episode or not.
Yeah. We'll do that.
So the next question, $500 Sunglasses asks, with the circumstances surrounding Old Man Loki and Sylvie, is it safe to assume that Nexus events don't happen instantly? I think yes, it is. Yes, obviously. Sylvie, the TVA did not come for her when she was born a girl. There was they waited until she was going to do something that would have deviated noticeably from history. And in Old Man Loki, classic Loki's example, the TVA didn't come for him because he avoided being killed by Thanos. They only came for him when he decided to leave hiding. Like, as long as he wasn't interfering with the rest of the universe,
affecting other stuff,
and nobody was noticing he existed, as long as he wasn't making a mark on history at all, he was safe. The moment he decided to come out of hiding and try and find Thor, that's when the TVA captured him.
Yes.
So yeah, they don't prune a timeline until it deviates in a significant and noticeable way. Until, like, somebody does something that actually changes history. Like, if Loki's born a girl, but she does all the same things Loki was gonna do, that timeline wouldn't be pruned.
Which is a mystery still.
Yeah. We still don't know what her Nexus event was. That's still a big question that presumably will be answered next episode.
It better be. Damn it. Did we answer both of those? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You can read my question. That's weird.
Okay. You asked us, was Alioth guarding the castle at the end of time, or was Alioth keeping whoever is in the castle from accessing the rest of the timeline, guarding us from them? Are they keeping people out?
Yes.
Or are they keeping the true timekeeper in?
Yes, that's that was the question.
That is an interesting question. I would argue that whoever the real timekeeper is, if they were able to create the TVA, then they already have a very significant reach. That they can affect things, and that they're not being imprisoned, they're hiding.
They're not, but that could also be an explanation for why there's not an end to their timeline to something else. Like, after they set the TVA up, like, the TVA is just doing like a maintenance sort of thing, but like no progress is actually happening now. Something happened, and whoever had been setting it up and designing it can't access the rest of it anymore. So
I think
they could have unleashed something by getting rid of Alioth.
It's possible. That is a possible read on it. My first assumption would be that they set up the TVA and then they came here because now everything is comfortable and now they can rule from their place behind the curtain like the Wizard of Oz.
It's the Sentry.
You think it's the Sentry? You think it's Robbie Reynolds?
That's why we're in the void, man. It makes sense. I'm telling you, this is what it is. And that's why everybody's forgotten. It's, that.
I see.
Huh? See?
The Sentry's headquarters was a big lighthouse-shaped building called the Watchtower.
It was. And, it's the thing. There's also that bullshit that Agatha said, like, you don't know what you've unleashed. You're gonna need me. Maybe it's related too. They just fucking helped unleash this shit.
I kind of doubt that Wanda secretly helped them defeat Alioth and they don't know it.
I don't know. Question.
Another question from 500. Actually, several questions from 500. So first, do you think the Nexus event where Kid Loki killed his Thor is the event they talked about in Ragnarok where he turned into a snake and Thor picked him up because Thor loves snakes? And then surprise, it's Loki and he stabbed him. Do you think that's where Kid Loki killed his Thor?
I do not. I don't think
It could be.
it could be.
It's certainly an event where Thor got fucking stabbed.
He was. But Thor's been stabbed a lot.
That's true. Loki stabs Thor in Avengers 1.
He does.
And he survives.
If you can watch Ragnarok and see how many times Hela stabs Thor. It just fucking...
That's true. Thor
gets that motherfucker so many times.
Thor, Asgardians can take it.
They can. Like, she gets stabbed too.
I honestly think the most likely scenario is that Kid Loki and Kid Thor were playing somewhere dangerous, and like Kid Thor fell off a cliff, and Loki feels responsible, so he says, "I killed him," or something like that. I think that's what happened because remember, obviously Loki has always been about the pranks, but him and Thor were not outright adversarial to each other until Thor won. They used to fight on the same side. They used to get along and be friends when Loki wasn't turning into a snake and stabbing him.
Yes. Until it came to the point of
I don't think
taking the throne.
I don't think Loki as a kid would kill Thor on purpose. It must have happened by accident or mistake.
Kid Loki did seem like, I don't know, he had a certain air to him whenever he said it.
He was,
matter of fact, like, I killed Thor. And he didn't sound regretful or at all, like, whatever.
Well, I think he also, obviously, if after you do it, the TVA shows up and sends you to the fucking void, you're gonna have a chip on your shoulder about it.
Well, sure, yeah.
You're gonna have an attitude about, like, yeah, I fucking did this thing, and look where it got me, fuck you.
Yeah, it could be. It's definitely possible. But, like, the two are so adversarial, like, it's not hard to imagine something could have happened weird in that timeline, and Loki was just not. But I think
they were adversarial the way brothers fight. You know, that's what it was. Brothers fight. They're still brothers. They still love each other. And even after Thor 1 and Avengers, we saw in Thor 2 and in Ragnarok and at the beginning of Infinity War, Thor and Loki still love each other as brothers, in spite of all the fighting.
In spite.
So I wonder if there's ever been a point, really, where Loki would kill Thor and feel good about it. I don't think there has.
I don't know.
Anyway. 500's next question. When Alligator Loki ate President Loki's hand, does it count as cannibalism?
That is the question, because the thing that they have in common at that point is more like the soul, the essence of Loki, and not the physical body.
Right. They're not the same species, so by the dictionary definition, it's not cannibalism. But true. Spiritually, it's cannibalism. It's the same thing as, like, if Loki and Sylvie get together, is it incest?
But those two still share, like, potentially they share, like, biology and, like, genetics.
That's true. They have theoretically the same DNA, just arranged in different combination.
Yes. So
which means it's biologically definitely incest, but maybe spiritually it's not, because they're not exactly the same person.
Not exactly the same.
Because she has grown up in a very different environment, not just because she's female, but also because she hasn't been to Asgard since she was a child. She's been alone and running from the TVA her entire life.
Same nature, very different nurtures.
Right, and that's why she does different magic than he. She taught herself mind control instead of doing. I was about to call it illusions, but Loki was very adamant in a previous episode that it's not illusions, it's duplication casting.
Conjuring shit and stuff like
that. Right. He only makes illusions of himself is the important distinction.
Yes.
And then
her stuff is
old man Loki does not have that limitation because he is a master of sorcery.
He's had plenty of time to become that.
Right.
Yes, but no, but I mean, and yeah, like we said, Loki should do that. He should focus more on his shit.
Loki needs to learn all the magics.
He
Yes.
does. Come on, man.
And finally, who is the best variant, and why is it Alligator Loki?
Man, Alligator Loki was good, but classic Loki really fucking.
Classic Loki is so fucking good.
The cape.
I'm gonna have to give it to Old Man Loki.
That was my thing. Like, man.
I think he achieved his glorious purpose in the most entertaining way.
I was hoping that he would get like, tell us something about your world. Tell us something. Tell me a story. And whenever he started to tell that thing, I was like Paul Rudd in Endgame listening to Thor's story. It's like, yeah, man, keep going. What happened then? I want to see that shit. I want to see that version of the MCU that happened normally, where everybody was in just tights from the old comics.
I think that's also an element of it, that he always wore the tights.
Yeah. I think that's the whole thing with that timeline. It's all completely normal. Nobody's joking. The same things happen that's in the MCU, just in tights.
I do kind of want to see that.
That sounds fucking great. Show me that Thor. Come on. And Thanos. Everybody. God. But no, yeah, classic Loki was my thing.
Indeed. I will, like, Alligator Loki was good though.
He was good. And I think, like,
I particularly enjoy the moment where he bites off President Loki's hand.
yes. It's a Loki eat Loki literally world.
He's very nimble for an alligator. Like, you don't usually see them jump like that.
Yeah. It's which begs the question, is it just an alligator Loki, or is it him changing into an alligator as he does sometimes?
So, I saw a piece of fan art on the internet somewhere, and it's two panels. The first is Odin, and it's Anthony Hopkins Odin, and he's like, it's the scene from Thor 1 where he's like, I'm sorry to tell you that you're adopted. And then the second panel is Alligator Loki crying.
All right, GG's internet. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
We're not going to credit whoever did it. That's fine.
I don't remember where I saw it, or I would absolutely credit them. I'm sorry.
I wouldn't remember it either. That's good. Wait, did we answer that one? I think we did.
We answered that one. Yes.
Okay. Thanks, 500.
Who's the best variant? Okay, Brusque Poet asks, how do you think Loki's story will end in the finale? He says, I don't see him being sent to the future so we can get more Loki in more movies. I don't expect a Thor cameo. Will he just be sent back to 2012? I don't know if that feels like a sad ending or not, but I'm curious. So what do you think?
There's no 2012 for him to go back to.
That's true. That timeline has been pruned.
Yeah. So that's why he says the thing in this episode about finding a new timeline. And that part wasn't sarcastic. Like, the rest of it was with that we can rule, or I can rule and finally be happy. But
yeah,
they will need to find a new home because the old one doesn't exist.
No, I think, well, I mean, there's not a lot of places for the two of them to go. They could either settle this castle after they depose whoever's sitting in it. They could try to make a home here in the void with all the other variant Lokis. Or they could go live on the sacred timeline, in which case Loki and Sylvie would be around to appear in future Thor movies and such.
And it's
or they could end the movie. They could end the show with a situation where, with the TVA having been destroyed, the two of them like look at a screen and they see that branching timelines are starting to exist again, and the two of them decide, we're going to go on a journey, and we're gonna become the Sliders, and we're gonna visit every timeline until we find one that looks enough like the one we're from, or the one Sylvie's from, that we decide we want to live there, something like that. You know, just go exploring.
They could
and find a place we like.
Presumably,
in the multiverse.
They could also make one. Like, they just go to any point they want and make a Nexus event by doing something, and with no TVA to stop them, this just keeps going from there. Normally,
they could also do that. That's true.
The sky's the limit. Shit gets crazy, but yeah, I think that. Do you think that by the end of this, Do you think Sylvie's gonna survive the show?
I'm gonna give it, let's say, 60-40, 60% chance she lives. 40% chance she dies and Loki's real sad about it. And it's like she only ever existed to facilitate his character growth, and it's a bummer.
Yeah, I think that would be a bummer.
I think that character growth would be more certain to last if she was allowed to stick around, though.
Yeah. I think that Loki needs a not a temporary, like Mobius. I don't see him lasting a lot.
Well, I think Mobius and him, like, it's nice to see them as friends, and I really like the moment where they hug before they part ways in this episode, but I don't think wherever Loki goes after this episode, Mobius can come with him. I think Mobius is going to be stuck doing whatever, like, cleanup on the TVA. He's going to have his own journey.
And if he ever does make it to some timeline somewhere where he gets to go back to his life or back to a life.
Right, he could simply, like, after the TVA is destroyed, he could simply go to the 90s and ride a jet ski, and that's his happy ending. Right.
And,
which I would be perfectly happy with.
Yeah, everybody wants that. That's what everybody wants to see. They want to see him get his jet ski. But, like, what the fuck is he going to call himself? Because his name wasn't Mobius before they went and got him.
Well, maybe he'll find in the TVA files his real identity.
His real identity is Owen Wilson. He was an actor. That'd be fun.
That would be cute.
Why not, right? Or he's just a Loki.
He looks at that file and he's just like, wow.
Could have a whole lot of jet skis. That's good. They should do that.
Yeah. But what I mean to say is that, like, obviously if Mobius has his own fate to go off to, then he can't just exist to be Loki's companion and
right.
travel with him through the universe. And Loki needs another person. He needs a friend. He needs some kind of... Because loneliness is the best way to backslide and be a villain again, because it's been the cause. Feeling alone is most of his motivation for doing all the shit he fucking does.
It does. And that, like, feeling of the futility leads to cynicism when everybody that you really, like, care for and go on a limb for, a branch, if you will, dies. Like,
yeah,
you don't want him to slide back into cynicism.
It's like, if I couldn't save the only person who means anything to me right now, what was the point? Yeah.
Everybody I care about dies. What's the fucking point? Like, it's...
Yeah. You don't want that.
You don't want that. So,
I think the story works a lot better if she lives.
I agree. Was that all of that? Was Brusk's question?
That was all of Brusk's question, yes. Okay. Let's see. We had actually a couple more questions from 500. He asked us like 7. So he asked us if we're going to cover the new Shang-Chi trailer.
We can watch it.
Well, the trailer's been out for a couple weeks now, and I think most people have had time to live with their feelings on it. And really, the most interesting thing to say about it is there's a scene at the end of an underground fight club where Abomination is fighting Wong. And what's that about?
Yeah, that is the big juicy. There's a lot of cool shit in that trailer. Like, we see the dragon underwater and shit.
We do see the dragon.
We see Shang-Chi's costume.
Yeah. We see a lot of the 10 rings being used in fight scenes.
We do.
And it appears that their power set is that they're basically magnetic coils, and that they push and pull each other. And they can be used for, like, thrusting, punching attacks that shoot out the coils and then pull them back in and hit things with force.
Yes.
Which is obviously very different from the 10 different ridiculous superpowers they have in the comics, but I feel fits perfectly with their origin from the comics. So if anyone doesn't know, the 10 rings were originally the power coils of a crashed spaceship. And the Mandarin was a Chinese guy who happened upon this ship and stole those coils and started using them to give himself superpowers. And the species that crashed in that ship looks like a dragon. It's actually the same species as Fin Fang Foom. It wasn't Fin Fang Foom himself who crashed in that spaceship, which is why the dragon in Shang-Chi is not Fin Fang Foom. But it's the same species as Fin Fang Foom, so that's where that dragon comes from in the movie.
But he's it's not like a sorcery thing though.
No, it's technology. It's alien tech.
Much like Apocalypse did a similar thing.
Apocalypse was also never magic. Like his obviously he has mutant powers, but also he's known for wearing this big techie suit of armor looking thing with hoses on the arms.
Right.
And that suit he got from a crashed Celestial ship. And the Celestials you will already have been familiar with from Guardians of the Galaxy, and they're going to appear again in the Eternals.
They have the best tech in all of the universe ever.
Certainly.
They're
the Celestials. The Celestials are space gods. They're of the same power level, I think, as Galactus. They're like one step below the actual like god characters of the Marvel Universe, like the Living Tribunal and the One Above All.
Yes. They're buff. They're very buff.
So they are the top fucking tier.
They are. But yeah, those are both of those. Neither is sorcery. They're tech.
No, it's tech.
But yeah, but that's what happened in the Shang-Chi trailer. So I'm hype about it. It looks good.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
I think it looks good. Surprised to see fucking Abomination in that shit.
Look, I think obviously, like, I'm just really jonesing for a good martial arts movie this year, because there's been a rather significant letdown this year that I won't go into any further.
No, okay, it's a good call.
I'm just real happy to see like a good kung fu movie, and I think like the ninja guy you see Shang-Chi fighting, Death Dealer. I think that outfit looks fucking rad as hell, so and I'm really excited. I'm real excited to see that dude in action.
Yeah, he looks great, man.
And like obviously like this underground fighting ring where other characters from the Marvel Universe are fighting each other. Abomination, nice to see him again after all these years.
It's a lot of years.
It's been a long fucking time. Still waiting on the leader, buddy.
Yeah.
Any minute now. You got fucking.
I mean, he probably shouldn't get in the cage.
No, he's not a fighter. But the Hulk's blood dropped in a wound on a guy's head way back in like 2008.
Way back.
Where's he been? So. And like Abomination's design has been changed to be more comics accurate. He's got the fin ears. He looks more
which
fish
maybe
lizardy.
Kept evolving. That's perfect.
Yeah, no, I'm not complaining. I like it. I'm glad to see that.
Yeah.
It looks good. He doesn't look like the fucking Doomsday,
right,
the cave troll version from BVS.
The shitty Doomsday, which looked like Abomination because Abomination was first. But
I mean, obviously the design was just kind of like a buff zombie in Incredible Hulk.
Yes. He looks much more comic accurate now.
Yeah.
It would be very fun. It's not going to happen down there. There's the dude in there, still King of the Cage, Wolverine. Like, that's what if we really fucking, it's not going to happen. But
no, it's unlikely. I'm looking forward to finding out why Wong is in there.
And
I'm not going to speculate.
I couldn't. Ass?
Well,
I don't know.
I mean,
could Wong win?
I feel like if Abomination wins that fight, isn't he going to kill the other guy?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
Wong's not going to die outside of a Doctor Strange movie.
Right. That's the question. So I have to imagine that Wong does win, which is fun.
Anyway, I think they're probably fighting over some black market thing. Like if Wong wins, he'll be able to recover some stolen artifact, and if Abomination wins, he'll get fucking money. I don't know.
I'm looking forward to finding out and seeing the movie, though.
Yeah.
That'll be good. We have more questions.
Well, I will, to keep all the 500's questions grouped together, I will skip ahead a little bit.
Okay.
And he also asked, if Kang is the behind the door, as in the person in this castle, do you think we will see multiple versions of him, such as Immortus and Ramatut? Like, will there be more than one Kang in that castle?
Okay.
Uh,
I'm gonna say no, but I don't.
I
It could be.
I mean, they could pull the Council of Kangs.
They could.
But I doubt it. I think we'll get one Kang, or like Merc and I both kind of guessed at. Maybe it'll be someone else who also uses the name Immortus, like a Loki variant. We'll see.
Yeah, I think that's the most plausible way to go there. Was it the last 500s?
That was the last of 500's
Okay.
questions. The last question is 3 parts, and it's Suze asks us, 1, is Mobius also a Loki variant playing the long con?
He did say long con.
I think if Mobius is a Loki variant, which is possible, I don't think he knows it. But I do think, obviously, Mobius has demonstrated that he has a long history of handling Loki cases, and he has an affinity for Lokis.
He does. Not just an affinity, but a bit of an affection.
Yes, it could be because, and even he doesn't realize it, that he is also a Loki.
It could be.
That could be the reason why he understands Loki so well and is so good at handling Loki cases.
And it also just makes it funny, that whole like rant he went on about narcissism.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be incredibly ironic,
That
yes.
would be fun.
I also think it would be weird though for Loki to have a fixation on 1990s Earth and jet skis. So while he could certainly be a Loki, I think it's also possible that his true identity, which has been erased from him, is that he's a guy from the 90s who used to ride jet skis.
It really could go either way with that dude.
Yeah.
It's 50-50 right now.
There's a couple options on the table.
It is.
So question number 2 from Suze. Are there multiple Lokis hanging out in Valhalla right now?
Ooh.
And this goes again to my not being certain that Valhalla exists in the MCU. If Valhalla did exist, however, I think that each timeline would have a separate Valhalla.
That's what I was thinking. Is there like, I don't know if Valhalla is one of those Nexus beings. It's not what it's referred to in the comics.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's crowded as fuck with a million versions of the same person.
Right. I think there's one Odin in there.
Because obviously, like, if the multiverse theory suggests that there would be infinite Earths, that there's a different timeline every single time someone makes a different decision in life.
Yes.
And that the possibilities and the combinations are endless. So if there was one Valhalla for the entire multiverse, then there would be literally infinite numbers of John Bjorson or whoever in it, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, it would be just too crowded and confusing.
It would be massive. It would be insane.
Yeah.
That's not to say that it's impossible, because it's just fucking, you're like, it doesn't have to make sense. It's Valhalla. It's, it's a thing. Like, but I would assume there's one per timeline.
And this really would be my philosophy for all afterlives. Like, how many versions of you are there in heaven? I think there's one heaven for every universe. Probably. One hell for every universe.
Right, and like presumably there is only one hell worth hell per timeline.
One Elysian Fields, if you're into Greek shit. One Gehenna, Hades, Pluto. All the afterlives, there's one per religion per timeline.
Is that how it works in the comics? Do you know, like Hela and
I believe
Hell?
I believe in the comics, each religion does have its own heavens and hells. So, like, you only go to
Oh,
Niflheim
well, yeah, that part.
if you worship the Norse gods.
Right. If you subscribe to that thing, you go there.
Right.
Otherwise, you go somewhere
Right.
else. I just didn't
Right.
know
If you're Christian, you go to Jesus' heaven, or
Right. Yeah.
Mephisto's hell, because sometimes Marvel has a Satan and sometimes they don't. Ghost Rider lore is one of the most fucking inconsistent in the Marvel universe. Like, sometimes he got his powers from Lucifer Morningstar, and sometimes he got them from Mephisto, who pretends to be Lucifer out in the world. It's all very dumb.
Go with what you like. Pick one.
Yeah. Different writers. Basically retcon whatever the fuck they want.
Like what, 50, 60 years? Like whatever. Like you're gonna have.
I have literally seen back-to-back Ghost Rider runs where one writer had it be Mephisto, and the next guy a month later said it was fucking Satan and had him fighting Satan.
Comics are fun. Why not?
I don't even want to get into different writers' interpretations of how the penance stare works. That's always a mess.
That sounds tough. Like, isn't characters like Thor immune to the penance stare?
So, see, now you're making me get into
They don't subscribe to those things.
The way it's supposed to work is that it makes you feel all of the pain you've ever inflicted on other people.
Uh-huh.
So you're fucking, whether you feel guilty about it or not isn't supposed to matter. But some writers think it makes you feel pain in proportion to your guilt and regret for the bad things you've done. Which means a guy like the Punisher can just go, I don't regret any of it, and feel fucking nothing.
But like, I mean, I've also read it to where it doesn't affect you if you don't subscribe to like that kind of Angel of Death and Mephisto religion.
I don't. Like, it's really not supposed to. It's not supposed to be subjective. It's supposed to be that if you hit somebody with a hammer and you get penance stared, you feel like you've been hit by a hammer.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense, but I mean, well, it makes as much sense as, you know, cool magic-y shit in comics does, but it would be nice for a little more consistency, but don't pull at that thread.
Yeah. Anyway. Question number 3 from Suze. Which variant would you be if you could be one of the variants? And which one do you think your co-host is?
Of the ones that we saw?
Of the ones that we saw. So, like,
okay.
So who do you think you are, and who do you think I am? And vice versa. I'll let you go first.
It is really difficult. I'm going to say I'm the alligator. I think, like, I would like to be classic Loki, but I think I'm the alligator.
All right.
I'm not the other guy. I'm not boastful Loki.
No, I don't think either of us are boastful Loki.
I'm not Kid Loki or the other guy either. I think I'm the alligator. What are you? What do you think?
I think I'm old man Loki.
Yeah, you probably are. That's what
I think I would be the one who is most comfortable just like being alone in just abandoning everything else in life and just living by myself and sitting there for years and just like thinking about all the all of my own character flaws and all the things where I went wrong and being like, yep, this is my nature. I fully understand myself. Because I've had time to think about it. And it would take that long for me to get lonely and to want to leave isolation.
Yeah, that checks out. I think that's pretty good. I think that those two are pretty good. I'm the alligator. He's classic Loki.
I think I could see you being the alligator.
That's pretty solid. I mean, yeah. Come on, man. I just get. Yeah, I'm the alligator. I'm just gonna go with it. I like it. Don't even notice that he's a Loki half the time. look at us like, you're not a Loki. He's a Loki. Oh shit. Yeah, that guy's definitely me.
What if he's just pretending?
What if he is?
But if he's living a lie that long, that makes him even more likely to be a Loki.
It does, exactly. And no one would know better.
Is that not what makes a Loki a Loki?
Is it not? That's what he said. That's what Owen Wilson said. No one would know better than another Loki. So maybe I'm Mobius.
You know what? I think Mobius is very much on the table for you.
I think that's a good call. I'm gonna have to rethink that. That might be a thing.
How do you feel about jet skis?
I don't hate them.
You know, I can relate to one thing Mobius said. I think maybe the 1990s was the peak of human culture.
Just everything. What did he say? Usually everything is stupid.
Yeah, most of history is just garbage.
Yeah, but for one
brief moment in the 1990s.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I might change my answer. I think there's something there. Man, that does sound like me too. Like, no, it's not Asgard. I want that salad. Just give me it. Shut up. Okay, I take it back. I'm Mobius.
Right. I'll support that.
Okay. Do we answer the questions?
That was all the questions, yes. Wrapped up the questions.
Wait, what does Merc say?
Merc had the last thing in the questions isn't a question. It's just Merc saying he thinks it might be Loki calling himself Immortus.
Oh, okay.
He did kind of have a rhetorical question. He said, what better way to end this series where Loki kind of becomes a better person than to unravel the biggest lie of possibly the worst version of himself, which is what would the guy in the castle would be.
You know? It's a thing, or it could be a thing.
It's certainly, like, that's kind of, when we talk about how the guy in the castle could be another Loki, that is certainly what we're kind of dancing around, is the suggestion that for this to be the best Loki, he might have to fight the worst Loki. Like, that might be part of the journey.
Could be. Or it could be a Loki that's just so fucking sad, and he's like, this is the only way that we can be happy.
That's also definitely a possibility. I would expect that more. Like, we're going to see the guy in the castle, and instead of him being like a big bombastic, mwahaha, or I must stop you from killing me and ruining all my plans guy, he's going to be sad and alone and kind of like mournful. And we're going to feel pity for him. That's what I think might be the case.
That would also make sense
when we meet the castle guy.
When it, like, almost any time that we see Loki, like, get to a position of power, control, or anything like that, he kind of doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, he just kind of sits there and well, to be fair, when he took over Ragnarok, he spent the entire time just eating grapes and watching plays. He seemed to be having a good time.
He was definitely having a good time there.
But that was an environment where he had people around to serve him and celebrate him.
And there was an alarm clock on that situation.
Yeah. I think most Lokis who find themselves in a rulership position are alone and they feel it.
As we found out from Thor, like, outside of Asgard, everybody was plotting against Asgard, and Asgard itself wasn't doing anything because it was just too busy making plays about Loki and giving him grapes, that, like, Asgard was going to collapse any moment. It was a bad thing. It's being poorly ran.
Indeed.
So, yeah, Loki getting there and getting to the point of where he's finally, he's caught the car at the end of time, but now he doesn't really know what to do with it. Like, I can see that being a thing. I think we did it.
Yeah, I think we did it. We did it, guys. Mission accomplished.
That was a big episode.
It was one of the most entertaining episodes so far. I certainly enjoyed it.
God, yeah, that one, it was juicy.
It was a lot of meat on the bone.
Oh man, that cape flapping. It was so good. It was great. And there's tons of Easter eggs that's fun too. And the Easter eggs that make sense as well.
I'm going to say that if if episode 6 should somehow drop the ball, then 5 will go down in history as my favorite episode of this series.
Yeah. Yeah, I would.
But I don't want to assume the negative. I think episode 6 is going to be good. I think they're going to nail the landing.
I hope so. That's the whole thing. That's the whole. So much is riding on that. I need some things to
it's
hit right.
Like I said in a previous episode. Like there were ups and downs to WandaVision and to Falcon and Bucky. I enjoyed both shows, but so far Loki has been my favorite of the 3.
It has for me too.
And it has earned a lot of confidence. I think episode 6 is going to be a good one.
I think so too. I'm very optimistic.
I'm not expecting it to stumble at the finish line.
This show in general has exceeded my expectations from the start.
That's true.
I
wasn't
know what to expect going in, but man,
I don't think anybody did.
Yeah, it's been good. It's not been a cash in or just more Tom Hiddleston for the sake of it.
Yeah, no, it has been very good.
It has literally been like the thing you can do whenever you do the work that the MCU has done for as long as you can. You can't do this type of story in this type of situation any other way.
No, you can't just decide to make a show like this after fucking 3 movies. Looking at you, DC.
It's like so much, like benefits from so much that's come before it that makes it so much better because of all that shit.
Yeah,
like it. Really good job. This is like MCU. This is the good shit that you
this is
do the work.
This is what we all were. This is the reason you want there to be a universe and a continuity.
Absolutely. GG.
Because then you get this kind of stuff.
Thanos copter. It was great. There was the frog. There was the frog Thor.
There was a frog Thor.
And I think he had a Chris Hemsworth scream.
It could have been Hemsworth. I wonder if he'd be in the credits for making just Foley and grunts.
I mean, but like it's so weird for them to be able to get him just to scream if they want to. Like it's not a big like, whatever. He's around.
Indeed.
Just right, grab that shit.
Indeed.
All right, everybody. We're gonna see you guys for the finale. Is there anything else that you want to say?
No, I'm good. I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it.
See you guys at the end of this shit, at the end of the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Later, everybody.
See you later, nerds.